Great, so good afternoon everybody. My name's Sarah Sturton and I think it's been really interesting listening to Janet and Tatiana speak, because I think probably what I'm about to talk through, there's quite a few similarities actually and some real common themes. Although I have to say probably Botox and Viagra beats frozen food. However, we'll see. There could be loads of puns and jokes and I could go with that, but I won't. However, before I get started, you've been sat there listening quite intently for a while, so I'm just going to ask you to take part in a very quick engagement survey. So I'd just like you to raise your hand in a moment if before today you had heard of Nomad Foods, and don't worry if you hadn't. Ah, great, yes, fantastic, thank you. Thank you. This is more than one, that's good. Okay, let's try this one. So, hands up if before today you had heard of Captain Birdseye. Oh, wonderful. Okay, last one. Hands up if before today you have eaten a fish finger sandwich. Excellent, thank you. So, a tip, if you want to try something different, try them in a wrap with sweet chilli sauce and lettuce. Really nice. I spent a while eating fish fingers. So I'm not surprised you know more about fish fingers and Captain Birdseye than you do Nomad Foods, because actually Nomad Foods is a relatively young company and was formed less than 3 years ago. So these are the brands, the frozen food brands across Europe that Nomad Foods currently owns. And it's really the collective power of these heritage brands that come together to make us currently Europe's #1 frozen food company. We're nearly 3 times bigger than the competition. We distribute our food to 17 different countries. We employ 3,800 people across 15 office and 9 factory locations. And we're currently listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And for those of you who like to dabble in shares, our ticker is NOMD. And when I show you the graph in a moment, you might consider it could be a good investment for the future. We currently are a €2 billion company. And as we discovered earlier, perhaps we're most famous for our captain. And if you've seen any of the recent media coverage in the UK, I think the new captain is making a particular hit. And I think one of my favourite standout headlines so far is Fish Finger Hottie. So that was quite good. So now you know a bit more about Nomad Foods. I'll tell you our story about how we went about engaging our people to deliver quite a significant turnaround in our business performance. So our story actually begins in June 2015, when Iglo Group, who owned the Birdseye, Iglo and Findus brands, were bought by Nomad Foods. And Nomad Foods were actually only set up slightly earlier that year by 2 American investors. And they set up an acquisition vehicle, and Iglo Group were their first purchase. And you can sort of see why perhaps they thought it was a good investment, because Iglo Group was not performing well at that point in time. And not surprising, listening to some of Janet's story, that we had a similar history of quite a lot of uncertainty, a failed commercial strategy, and at that point we'd actually had 3 CEOs. So there was huge amounts of change and uncertainty. Were we going to be sold? Were we not? And at that point, you can see that our financial performance clearly wasn't great. So minus 8% revenue, organic revenue growth at that time actually paints a more positive picture than double-digit losses that we were finding in a number of markets. So as you can imagine, employee engagement was also not at a fantastic level at that point. And I think the key insights were that people just didn't know where the business was going. They'd lost that sense of direction. And actually at that point as well, our leadership team were pretty much going in slightly different directions as well. So it was quite a confusing place to be. And I think one of the key insights we had was actually, as a consequence, our people had really lost confidence and belief that they could actually grow the business. So just after that point, we saw sort of performance and engagement take a little boost when Nomad Foods bought its second acquisition, the Findus frozen food business in Europe. And we deployed a new growth strategy. And it really, as I say, we saw that sort of slight boost in employee engagement and performance. However, I think it was clear to see as well that there was a real concern that the turnaround that we'd sort of started to see at that point perhaps wasn't sustainable. And our CEO, our current CEO, who came in 2015, Sturton, he basically sort of set a challenge for us as a HR team to really work with him to develop one Nomad Foods company with one shared vision and culture. So again, similarities to some of the journeys you've already heard. But what was great about that is basically what he was asking us to do is to give our people what they were desperately asking for. And that was direction and to feel like they were part of one team. So some quite sort of basic sort of emotional needs. So what did we do next? And basically, we did focus on engaging our people. And we did that in a way that has had a significant and phenomenal impact on our business performance, which I'll come on to share. And really, our way was our ingredient and our key ingredient, and I'll tell you a bit about what that is. So again, as I said, you know, there's some real similarity in the stories that you've heard already. So for us, during 2016, the first half of that, we partnered with Sturton and his exec team to develop our way. And interestingly, there was some engagement of the broader team and some input, but we made quite a conscious decision, actually, that we took quite a top-down approach. And that was because we were in such a sort of place at that time, but equally Sturton and pretty much all of his exec team were new. So the creation of Our Way was as much about them developing as a team and really getting a line and really committed behind the direction they were then setting for 3,800 people. So in the centre, you can read for yourselves, but that's our vision, is to build on our heritage and create a leading global consumer food company. Again, there's been some questions about, well, how emotionally engaging is all of that and where's the purpose? But actually, that's maybe something through Q&A I can explain, because actually at that point in time, that's almost what people wanted. They didn't want a grand vision. They wanted clear, sort of tangible direction. And Sturton actually was really passionate about giving that in the first sort of phase. Around that then was really the mission of how we would get there in 3 steps, from turnaround to transformation to becoming a global company. The third ring then describes our growth strategy, which is to build distinctive brands, to innovate behind our core products and key consumer needs, to lead the category, and ultimately to leverage our scale. And then finally, around the outside, we actually have 8 values, which again you can read for yourself. Our Way, as Our Way was formed, what also became really clear to us, as I'd mentioned earlier, was the prevailing mindset in our business was a real barrier to performance. And we saw in a number of ways that actually we had quite an ingrained, cynical and resigned mindset that had really sort of established itself, and not surprising because we had such a period of poor performance leading up to this point. So as a HR team, we recognised that, but what we also recognised was the importance of making the values really live. And I know many of us, you know, have read so many times that it's great having a beautiful, colourful picture on the wall, but it's no good unless people can put it into action. So in response to this, we actually searched for a partner because as a team, we are quite lean internally. So there's myself and one other person in the central HR team. And in this instance, we then executed with a network of 9 other HR partners, so quite a lean team. And so we were looking really for a strategic partner, and again, Tatiana talked about the importance of those partnerships. We were looking for someone who could really help us transform the mindset in our organisation, but also to help us build the capability to turn around our business performance. And so we actually partnered with a company called Breakthrough Global, but essentially we really liked the idea of working with Breakthrough Global because working in Breakthrough is all about generating a growth mindset. And the other thing that we really liked about Breakthrough was they provide really practical, simple tools that really mapped really nicely across all of our different values. And those tools are great to use in work, they're great to use in life, and fundamentally they're great to develop yourself and develop your team. So instantly we were giving people capability to improve their performance. The powerful combination of Our Way and Breakthrough was first unleashed when we got our Nomad Foods senior leadership team together at the end of 2016 for our first Our Way Breakthrough programme. And in that session, as we kicked off the 2 days, Stefan and his exec set really clear outcomes for that session. And again, I think that was a good example where, you know, the expectation of Stefan and the exec was really clear as a start point to set that clarity of direction for the business. And the outcomes really were that we really wanted to create a highly engaged and united enterprise leadership team, which is our sort of 64 senior leaders in the organisation. And the outcomes we set were that we wanted everybody coming out of that programme and beyond to really understand the future direction of the business, to be absolutely aligned, to feel really positive and optimistic about the future, and really feel empowered and accountable to achieve improved performance turnaround. So again, to some stuff that Janet was saying, it was, you know, absolutely clear if we don't get the leadership really aligned and committed, then how are they going to carry the 3,800 people and really inspire and drive and motivate everyone else around this new direction? And the power of Our Way and Breakthrough is quite difficult to describe. So what we did was we actually captured it in videos called Writing Our Nomad Food Story, and we've captured a number of chapters. So what I was going to do is just share with you the first chapter that we captured at the start of the programme.
What's inspired me about the Breakthrough programme is actually very simple tools, but really very relevant and appropriate in the organisation. It's come at a perfect time for us as an organisation as we launch Our Way and our vision, and a real opportunity for us to have one language across the organisation and really take our organisation, lead our organisation, inspire our organisation to really create a new Nomad Foods Europe.
It made us much more aware as leaders that ELT is one group, and that is fantastic. We got together, we heard the same thing, we heard from both sides, and we understand it's a two-way street, and we come in with the same commitment at the end of these 3 days. So we have all the same commitment that we need to obviously fulfill, that we have to develop, and that we have to deliver vis-à-vis our teams. So that's a one team feeling that is absolutely essential. That is a major learning from me at the end of these 3 days.
What was true when we started, and is still true, is it is an exceptional group of people, and I think that we still have that, but we now have a much better idea of how we can all utilise our capabilities and passions.
So I think the team here will go away and get the results that they want to achieve, but do it in a way that inspires and engages the organisation around a very exciting future for the business.
Well, the good thing is we have great brands, we have great people, and now we have a great vision. So I believe that this program and the way we're working together can really unlock potential in the markets, opening new channels, opening new categories. So there's a lot of growth for us to grab if we believe in it, and then we can make it happen.
Our ambition is to become a global foods platform. We have the talent and the people within the organisation to be able to deliver that, and I have every belief that we will become that global foods platform.
The future for Nomad Foods Europe is that we are going to do it our way.
Okay, so hopefully you got a little insight into the fact that actually the energy coming out of the Our Way programme was phenomenal. And to a point where the exec and the ELT just wanted us to go much faster than actually we'd planned. So it was a challenge. However, the fantastic thing was, being actually quite a small company, is we could then act really fast. So during January to May, we then rolled out a further 8 breakthrough programs, reaching out to around 800 people across 13 countries. So we were able to touch the majority of our commercial organisation. And as you can see from the picture of our guys doing a train around the room, but also what you saw from the video, the sessions were really interactive and really brought our way to life. So we got people really adopting the mindset and the behaviours and working in a different way, straight immediately on the point we were deploying the vision into the organisation. What we also did, of course, is, I'm missing a slightly different slide than I thought I was presenting, but no worries. What we also did was we worked on a number of other sort of transformation work streams as well. So as well as launching Our Way and the Breakthrough Programme, we invested a lot of time in aligning our new bonus plan. We relaunched our appraisal process. We relaunched People Recognition Awards. And we also launched a new Our Voice culture survey that we partnered with a company called Willis Towers Watson. And that was really important so that we could begin to really measure the progress we were making around embedding the new culture, but also to make sure we were pinpointing areas for improvement and we could really gather the feedback from the people in the business to help us inform the next steps. So in terms of the results that it's had on the business then, we've seen fantastic return on our investment. And we've measured and quantified that in a number of ways. So here what you can see is that before and after every breakthrough programme, we surveyed. And this shows the change that we saw for that enterprise leadership team over just 2 interventions that we ran. Now, obviously, there was lots of work we did in between, but in terms of the impact of the 2 programs specifically, this was the improvement in engagement we saw against each of the outcomes that the ELT, the exec and Stefan had set for the program. And this was a key one for us. Because we knew that unless we got everyone fully aligned and working in the same direction, it would really dilute the impact of what we were doing. And we saw similarly great results with all of the programs that we ran for the teams. And again, particularly sort of, and how quickly that happened actually, because this is only sort of, 8, 9, 10 months maybe into sort of, 2 integrations. But essentially we saw, people really understanding the direction, feeling really optimistic about the future and really believing in where we were going. And there was something actually in the Havas's white paper that talked, and someone sort of was quoted saying that strategy is one thing, but you need culture actually to make that strategy work faster and harder for you. And actually, we absolutely saw the impact of creating those conditions on the performance of our growth strategy. And actually, we really made that flywheel work harder. So in terms of the specific impact on business performance, I think this really sort of speaks for itself. So some of the highlights are that in Q3 last year, we posted our 8th quarter of consecutive organic revenue growth. And our turnaround on the total business was from -8 to +5.9. And the dotted line shows where we've really invested behind our core product lines, and they turned around from -6 to +10.2. We also, to the point that was made at the very start, have seen a fantastic improvement in our share price value. So when we first listed on the New York Stock Exchange, our shares were about $6.50. They're now just below 17. And from a sustainable engagement point of view, as measured by Towers Willis Watson, when we ran the engagement survey last year, we actually achieved a sustainable engagement level of global high-performing FMCG companies. And finally, the really exciting news is that because of the strength of our balance sheet and the profitability of the company, we're back in acquisition mode. So we are looking forward to hopefully confirming the deal on the acquisition of the Goodfellas and San Marco pizza businesses in Ireland. So that's it from me. So we've certainly, hopefully, as you've seen the benefits of engaging people and using that to turn around business performance. So I hope you don't mind me ending with a few food puns as I close. But I do hope the Nomad Foods story has given you a fresh look at the key ingredients of employee engagement and will inspire you to create your own recipe for success. So if the captain had said that, it would have been better, but anyway. Right. Thank you.